Crimes of the Week compilation. Ooh, this looks good. 2024 Crimes of the Week compilation. All right, let's do it, chat. Let's see what this one is all about. Yes. Yeah, I like that I was able to get that.
A 37-year-old Indiana man has reportedly managed to avoid jail time this week after he pleaded guilty in connection with a bizarre incident last summer in which he led police on a high-speed chase while working as a Google Street View driver. The whole thing started at around 5 p.m. on July 31st,
That's kind of cool, actually. That's a cool job.
When an officer with Henry County's Middletown Police Department spotted a rather unique vehicle driving recklessly near a local high school. The car was equipped with several 360-degree cameras that were mounted on an antenna, had California...
So here's the thing in these situations, chat. If you're a really bad driver, there's like 500 cameras on top of this Google Street View car that is going to like track every single thing that you do. You are not going to get away with anything being a bad driver.
The license plates and was wrapped in a vinyl skin. The skin revealed why the car looked so strange. This was a vehicle that was supposed to be mapping for Google Street View. The officer attempted to conduct a traffic stop. However, the driver, later identified as 37-year-old Coleman Ferguson, refused to pull over. Instead, he sped up, eventually reaching speeds of 120 miles per hour. The Middletown officer...
In the Google car, you're going 120? There ain't no way, Chad. Wow, he tried to zoom, literally.
...in neighboring Madison County, who quickly joined in on the pursuit.
I want to watch that on Google Maps.
Coleman lost control of the Street View car, barrelling through a guardrail and
all of the map pictures are just super blurred out because he went so fast.
Immediately after. During court proceedings at the end of last month, Coleman admitted that he had no reason to try and flee from police, other than the fact that he said he was scared. He pleaded guilty to a felony charge of fleeing from law enforcement.
Oh my gosh.
And as part of a plea deal, is due to be given a 1-year suspended jail sentence. He has also agreed to pay a little over $3,200 in restitution.
Yeah, no reason to run. Like, why would you do that?
The authorities say that they are confused as to how he ever became a Google contractor in the first place. The 37-year-old reportedly has a rap sheet that includes multiple driving-related offenses, and according to people in the area, had been seen driving recklessly in the Google vehicle many times before last summer's incident.
I just don't understand why you would flee from the cops. I understand if you have like a reason, like maybe you have a warrant, and I'm not saying you should flee from the cops, but he legitimately had no reason to, and he still did it. So to me, that's like extra weird.
Authorities in Iowa say that an accused sex offender exposed himself in more ways than one this week after he recently committed lewd acts in front of a child at a Walmart, then accidentally identified himself by complaining that his photo was being circulated by police. According to reports, the situation began about 4 months.
He's mad that they're trying to find him for his heinous acts? Of course they are! What the There's no way this is real. I can't believe this is real. I literally cannot believe this is real, Lyra.
Dustin Hills,
what's up, Lyra? How are you?
Allegedly exposed himself to an 11-year-old girl at a Walmart supercenter in Iowa City. Hills reportedly followed the girl into a toy aisle, then exposed his genitals to her and began masturbating in front of her. After the disgusting incident was reported to police,
absolutely
Iowa City
disgusting.
PD obtained the store's surveillance footage, quickly finding Hills.
Yeah, no, Mario, go take care of what you got to do, sweetheart.
They still didn't know who he was, so they began circulating his photo, including through their Facebook page. This apparently upset Hills, who at some point recently called the department to request that his photo be taken down. What he apparently didn't
that makes no sense. He wants it down.
He had identified himself in the process. Hills was arrested this week and is now facing a charge of indecent exposure.
Got him.
According to reports,
got him. Victory. Got him.
As well as other crimes, including narcotics possession, probation violation, and possession of drug paraphernalia. At the time of this recording, he remains in custody on a $5,000 bond.
Jesus. All right, he was already doing something super f***ed up, but then he's got all these other charges? Yeah, no f***ing wonder. I'm not even surprised. Wait, Waffle House?
An Oklahoma woman reportedly made a true April Fool of herself last week when officers spoke with the driver, later identified as 53-year-old Angela Harrison. She claimed that she had no idea the SUV was stolen.
Yeah, sure. Pinky promise. I didn't know they were stolen, totally.
An hour earlier, she had been at a gas station when she ran into a customer at the Waffle House where she used to work. The customer remembered that her birthday was coming up and wanted to give her a present as a final tip. That present was $10 cash. Oh yeah,
Okay.
and the keys to a white Jeep Liberty. Understandably, police did not buy this ridiculous story, especially since the SUV in question had been reported.
As soon as your face popped up in my head, I heard, "Have you done your paperwork, Wazowski?" That's literally what I heard in my head.
Stolen before Christmas. Authorities had surveillance footage of Harrison driving the vehicle from January 14th, meaning that she couldn't possibly have gotten it just an hour earlier.
Oh, that is
When
crazy.
confronted with this evidence, Harrison admitted that it was her in the surveillance footage, but still bizarrely tried to claim that she was telling the truth.
Wazowski.
She was later charged with possession
watching.
of a stolen vehicle.
Always watching, chat. Always watching. Oh my god, I love that
Authorities
movie.
in Suffolk County, New York say that a 56-year-old Florida man is facing a number of charges this week after
Oh, what? A Florida man involved in a crime? No way, chat. I can't believe this. A Florida man involved in a crime? That couldn't be me.
he led officers on a lengthy and dangerous high-speed chase, one that ended
Of course.
with a rather dramatic act of desperation. According to reports, the whole thing began just before 11 a.m. on April 8th, when police in the Long Island community of Southold were called to the local town hall annex. A woman who worked there explained that her ex-husband, who she identified as 56-year-old Roger Foster, had slashed a tire on her vehicle. Though Foster lived in Florida, he had apparently driven to the area that morning in a rental car for the express purpose of harassing his ex, who also had a no-contact order against him. The woman was able to provide authorities with the license plate information of the car Foster was traveling in, which police spotted about 40 minutes later. By this point, he was driving west on Route 48. While Foster briefly stopped when officers attempted to pull him over, he apparently had no intentions of coming quietly and quickly took off once again. He spent the next 45 minutes driving all
That's the Florida way right there, chat. Got to take me alive. Florida man, baby!
over the area while attempting to elude police cruisers
That's a
who
true
were assisted
Floridian.
by a helicopter overhead. The situation came to a dramatic end when Foster started heading through the town of Greenport.
Oh my god.
Specifically down Sound Road.
Oh
Because
my
this road was
god.
a dead end, authorities initially thought that the 56-year-old
Oh, he
was
actually
trapped.
drove into the ocean.
However, when he started speeding up, they realized that he had other plans.
Oh,
Seconds
no.
later, Foster flew through the guardrail at the end of the road, launching himself and his rental vehicle off of a bluff at approximately 100 miles an hour. He crashed into the beach below before the car bounced into the water. Now, some of the sources we came across
he
claim
alright?
the drop from the bluff onto 67 Steps Beach is 100 feet. However, after looking on Google Maps,
There's no way he
there's no
lived.
way that this is the case. Don't get me wrong, the whole thing was still stupid and reckless, but the
There's
drop
no
is
way that
maybe
he
a
lived
third
through
of
that.
that height at best, judging from pictures.
I've never really
Anyway,
played Final
Despite
Fantasy
trying
games.
to
I've only
carry
played
out
10.
a low-budget Thelma and Louise, Foster was apparently not that badly injured. He was pulled from the water immediately after the crash and
No
arrested,
way.
and is now facing numerous charges, including
He literally is
second-degree
Florida
criminal
man. He
contempt,
tacked the car hitting the ground. He literally is Florida man.
degree criminal mischief, and
He
unlawful
wave-dashed
fleeing,
that.
as well as a whole mess of traffic violations.
Yeah, big yikes.
That's all in addition to 2 outstanding warrants that had already been issued for
Yeah,
his
big
arrest
yikes.
related to violating the order of protection against his ex-wife.
No way. Wait, what? What is this title?
A 35-year-old Florida man apparently went full-blown Oscar the
Another Florida moment. Another
Grouch
Florida
last week
moment.
after he was found by police drunk and naked inside of a trash can and was extremely uncooperative during his arrest. According to reports, the whole
Okay.
thing started sometime late
He's
on the night
Oscar
of
the
April
Grouch.
6th when police were called about 35-year-old Wiley James Weeks. Weeks had allegedly taken
He
over a
literally
corner
just
trash
Oscar the
can
Grouch.
somewhere in downtown St. Petersburg and was not letting people use the
It's
garbage
always
receptacle
Florida.
for its intended purpose. When officers arrived and tried to speak with Weeks, they quickly discovered that he reeked of alcohol and was missing most of his clothing. He also refused to identify himself or provide
He's like,
police
"This is
with
my
any
trash
further
can, back off!"
information. Despite this, the 35-year-old appeared to believe he was perfectly within his rights. According to the police report about the incident, Weeks said he, quote, was allowed to be drunk and disorderly and sit naked in a trash can on the public sidewalk. Unfortunately for Weeks, he was
Average
mistaken, and
Floridian.
he was quickly arrested for disorderly intoxication and resisting an officer
That's
without
crazy.
violence. He ended up pleading guilty to both counts
Wow,
and was
that's
handed
crazy.
a $520 fine. Apparently, this is not the first time Weeks has been involved in similar incidents. He was previously arrested for
Oh my
another
god, the cleanup from the first picture to this picture. Wow, he looks completely different.
nude, drunken situation in Tampa after
Wow,
he and a
the
friend apparently
cleanup.
thought it would be fun to strip off their clothes after exiting a bar. He was busted again for criminal mischief again days later.
Days later, chat. They got him again. Texas man arrested for impersonating an
The Texas
officer.
man was reportedly foiled by a bit of well-deserved instant karma this week when he was allegedly
Of
caught
course it was in
impersonating a
Houston.
police officer after unwittingly attempting to pull over a pair of real deputies. The whole thing began.
He impersonated an officer and pulled over officers. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. The luck involved in
Sometime on
that.
April 13th, when a pair of Harris
Oh, that's
County
karma.
deputies were undercover while
That is
working a racing
absolute
event
karma.
in Houston's Memorial area. The deputies were driving
Oh,
around
that is
when
great.
suddenly they saw a white Hyundai Santa Fe behind them. The vehicle was equipped with red and blue flashing lights and was clearly trying to pull
Oh,
them
wow.
over. Of course, being that they were real deputies,
irony.
the undercover officers immediately realized that something was off. The Santa Fe did not appear to be a legitimate Harris County police vehicle. They immediately notified
it's
the
in
sheriff's
Harris
office,
County. Oh, wow.
who sent marked units to investigate.
That's where I used to live.
As soon as the marked units showed up, the driver of the Santa Fe, later identified as Sean Arnold, allegedly attempted to flee the scene. He was quickly stopped, at which point things got even more interesting. Not only was Arnold dressed in a uniform shirt, he was wearing a bulletproof vest, a body-worn
my
camera,
God.
and had a security badge. He was also carrying a BB gun, taser, police
A
radios,
BB gun. A BB gun.
and other equipment which were clearly supposed to make him look like a real officer.
A
He was
BB
placed
gun.
under arrest and charged with impersonating
King
a
Guy? How
police
are you?
officer and being a felon in possession of body armor. According to reports,
Oh, he was a
this is far
felon.
from
I didn't know you could get in trouble for having body armor. That's interesting.
Arnold's
Wish.com
first similar
cop.
offense. He has multiple arrests for impersonating officers in Texas, Illinois, and Missouri,
Multiple.
and also has convictions for several offenses, including theft of motor vehicles. Because of the circumstances, Harris County
Multiple.
authorities say that it's likely there are other people that Arnold may have victimized or attempted to victimize while pretending to be an officer. They are now urging anyone who might have had such interactions with him to please come
Multiple.
forward.
He's done this for a long time. That's crazy. That's actually crazy.
An
Wow.
affidavit was released to the public that looks pretty embarrassing for one Indiana woman this week.
All right, let's
One
see.
that reveals that she was recently charged after she tried to report her drug dealer to police because of a suspicious batch of meth she bought. According to the probable cause,
Yes, I would like to report a drug crime. Yes, they gave me bad meth. It's not up to scuff. I was looking for the blue stuff, you know, the Walter White quality, and this stuff is just low in candy. I need something better. Yeah, can you like go arrest him or something?
affidavit, the whole thing started sometime on January 10th,
I want to speak to your
2024,
crack
when
manager,
dispatchers
please.
with the Lawrence County Sheriff's Office received 2 911 calls in relatively quick succession. Both calls came from the same address in the city of
The
Bedford.
Karen of crack.
However, no one answered when 911 operators attempted to speak with the caller. In order to make
Wow.
sure everything was okay, police were sent to the home in question, where they eventually met with one
Yeah,
of the
literally
residents there,
self-reported.
34-year-old Sarah
Crack
Harris.
Karen. Literally.
She not
I'm
only
gonna
admitted
speak to your
making the
manager.
calls, she soon revealed the bizarre reason why. The 34-year-old said she bought a bad batch of meth and she wanted to turn in her dealer. Harris went on to explain that the previous day, she went to an acquaintance's house where she smoked what she described as a normal bowl of methamphetamine. However, after purchasing more and taking it home, she snorted some of it only to find it made her feel weird. The 34-year-old stated that she, quote, noticed
Oh, you know, because drugs don't, I don't know, make you feel weird.
something
no way.
different when it touched her skin and nostrils. She said she felt she needed to stand up or she was going to have a heart attack. This had lasted for several hours.
Oh my God, it's like putting drugs into your body is bad, chat. I cannot with this. I cannot with
She
this.
felt like the meth she bought wasn't what it was supposed to be, and she now said she wanted to press charges against her dealer. When asked if she still had any of the drugs left, Harris apparently turned over a small baggie of the
I
crystalline
can't,
substance.
chat.
Police tested it, and afterwards had some good and bad news for the 34-year-old. The good news was that the bag Harris bought really did contain methamphetamine. The bad news was that the bag that Harris bought really did contain methamphetamine, meaning that she had now confessed to purchasing and using illegal drugs. Harris was
I
arrested.
get a video
and
for
has
you in a
since been
challenge.
charged
All
with
right, what's up,
possession.
meme guy?
Apparently, she has a list of previous convictions, which include more possession offenses, as well
Honestly,
as theft,
chat, I'm be real. She just looks like a regular Joe Schmo Jane Doe, you
criminal
know?
mischief, disorderly conduct,
I kind of
resisting,
wouldn't expect
and
that.
operating a motor vehicle while intoxicated.
I mean, she should have like tried to like sell out the other guy. And I get scared. All right, and what do I win if I do this
Authorities in Volusia County,
challenge?
Florida say that a 32-year-old man is facing charges this week after he
I have no
allegedly
idea.
broke into a house and stole
Florida
one of the
moment.
residents' pets,
Let me get a Florida
later
chat.
offering a strange excuse for his actions. According to
What
reports,
do I win if
the whole
I
thing
do
began
this
just before
challenge meme guy?
4:20 in the morning on April 15th, when homeowner Tai Pham awoke to an incredibly alarming situation. A stranger had broken in through the back door of his house and was in the middle of stealing one of his 2 dogs. Tai shouted at the man and asked what the hell he was doing, to which the suspect replied that it was his dog. He then fled the scene, taking the animal with him. Officers quickly caught up with the suspect, later identified as 32-year-old Janung
You're gonna steal somebody's dog? That's the worst
close
crime.
to the crime scene about 15 minutes later. When they asked him about the burglary that had just happened, he gave an incredibly strange excuse. Morena claimed that his black pit bull had been stolen in South Daytona, so he had started walking around looking for it. He had done so until he came across Tai Pham's house, where he heard a dog barking inside. For some reason, he assumed that it was his dog, so he broke in. Of course,
I heard the barf, and I knew in that moment that was my doggo. There's no way.
For a lot of reasons.
That's kind of wild.
But perhaps the most glaring one was that Tai Pham didn't own a black pit bull. He owned 2 Labradors, a black one and a yellow one. Making the situation even more ridiculous, Morena allegedly stole the yellow one. The 32-year-old was arrested and charged with burglary of an occupied
I can't believe that. No way, chat.
A false name
I never would have guessed that.
At the time he was taken
never would
into
have guessed
custody,
in a million years,
Morena
chat.
allegedly had a warrant out for reckless driving.
I'm shocked. Utterly shocked that happened, chat. Florida boat thief. Here we go, chat.
A 33-year-old Florida man apparently had police shaking their heads this week after he was identified as a suspect in a theft case, and he tried to avoid detection by putting on a rather obvious disguise. According to reports, the whole thing took place just after 3
They're all
p.m.
in Florida, chat. I'm convinced.
When officers from the
every
Glades
crime
County
ever is in
Sheriff's
Florida
Office were investigating a stolen boat. After successfully locating the boat in the old Calusa Lodge area of Lakeport, they had come up with a suspect in the case, a 33-year-old man named Joshua Kolotka. They were in the middle of searching for Kolotka when they spotted something, or rather someone, who caught their attention. As officers were looking around the area, a person exited a nearby residence and started walking away.
This was your disguise, dude?
Who was clearly trying to disguise himself as a
This was your disguise? This was the best that you could come up with?
He was wearing a blonde wig, a blue feather patterned dress, a white cardigan, and perhaps most conspicuously of all, a pair of large sunglasses.
Average Florida
Understandably,
moment.
the getup did not fool officers, who quickly placed Kolotka under arrest. The 33-year-old is now facing multiple theft charges for the stolen boat, as well as a
master of disguise, chat. The master of disguise.
Already had warrants out at the time he was taken into custody, and that more possibly stolen items were found at the scene. Glades County authorities say that they are now working with their
zero effort. 1 out of 10.
And that more
1 out of
charges
10.
may follow.
1 out of 10 in effort. Missouri woman arrested for alleged brawl over Disney World tickets.
A Florida vacation reportedly came
So actually, Chad, this is a Florida moment again.
End for 2 Missouri women last week.
It's a
when
Florida
they got into
moment.
a fist fight inside of a home and had to be separated by police. A fight that was apparently triggered by a disagreement over Disney World tickets. The whole thing started at around 11:20 a.m.
I fight
on
for
May
Disney
6th,
tickets. I get
when
it.
police in the city of Wildwood were called to an address on the 5900 block of Roundel Way. They arrived to find 2 women, later identified as 31-year-old Catherine Northrup and 28-year-old Gina Danforth,
it's my turn for Mickey.
who were in the middle of a violent altercation. The women were apparently going at it so hard that officers had to physically separate them, even after which Northrup continued to be belligerent.
Just for Disney
Danforth
tickets?
was hardly blameless herself, though. She quickly admitted to hitting the 31-year-old, who had scratches on her neck, elbow, and stomach.
What
Apparently,
happened,
there were several people present who witnessed the fight. However, according to police, none of them were reliable. Instead, after getting everyone's statements, they had to kind of piece together their own theory as to what had happened.
Look, chat, I just want to say, this could happen to any of us. I mean, anybody could do this to each other. You know, it's almost like it's a small world after all.
The exact circumstances of the altercation still aren't clear, though it appears that the problems between Northrup and Danforth began with an argument over tickets to Disney World and a golf cart. Northrup further claimed that Danforth got in her face and started spitting, and that she had initially tried to remove herself from the situation, but was grabbed by her hair and pinned down. Both women were subsequently taken to a local hospital.
Wow, this guy actually super intense.
And Danforth because she said she wasn't feeling well. Afterwards, they were
Hey,
both
Chaos,
arrested
what's
and
up?
charged with battery and have since been released after posting a $1,000 bond.
Oh,
In
over
case you're
Disney
wondering,
tickets.
It's unclear if either woman got to go to Disney.
I guess you could say, chat, that it really wasn't the most magical place on earth.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Authorities in the city of St. Petersburg, Florida,
Another Florida one.
Escalated quickly.
Another
That
Florida
really
one.
got out of hand fast.
Are you serious?
that a local man is facing charges in connection with an equally bizarre and
This is
revolting
insane.
crime this week after he allegedly splattered his brother with the contents of his adult diaper during the middle of an argument. The situation began just before 2 a.m. on May 14th when St. Petersburg police were called to a residence on the 5500 block of 22nd Avenue North with reports of a domestic incident. They arrived to find
That's
a strange and stomach-churning scene. On the porch of the home were the remnants of a soiled adult diaper. The contents of that diaper appeared to be strewn about and were partially on the shirt of one of the residents there. The man with the dirty t-shirt explained that a short time earlier he had gotten into an argument with his 18-year-old
And this is why I would never be a cop.
brother, Damien
Because
Caston.
of this right here, chat.
It's unclear exactly what this argument was about,
What
but it
the
quickly
actual
escalated.
fuck?
Though Caston is reportedly paralyzed from
Yeah, I
the
think
waist
so,
down,
Gabriel. I think
that
so.
didn't stop him from wreaking havoc. Using his arms to move around, the 18-year-old allegedly began damaging walls inside the house, after which he started throwing things at his brother and another person who was there. Deciding that things were spiraling out of control, the brother and the other witness had picked Caston up at some point and had carried him outside to prevent him from doing further damage. That's when the 18-year-old apparently resorted to hurling the only thing he had left. You might say that he was Caston diapers.
I'm sorry, chat. This is probably the most Florida thing I've heard in a long time. Man gets an altercation and returns to monkey and throws his own feces. Honestly, chat, average Florida news.
Diaper apparently hit the brother in the chest, leading to the gross situation that police
Ew,
observed when they
ew.
arrived. Caston was arrested at the scene and has now been charged with domestic battery.
That
He
is
was also ordered
grody.
to have no contact with his brother.
Ew. Another Florida moment.
Authorities in Marion County, Florida, say that an accused car thief made quite the interesting
I
decision
just love how all of these are Florida.
recently
This is the
after he
best.
allegedly stole a vehicle belonging to a local woman, then called her to tell her what he had done. According to reports, the crime took place sometime recently when Marion County Police received a call from
But
a
you
woman
stole
in
a
the
car
city
and then
of Ocala.
reported yourself?
The woman explained that she had just had her car stolen, but that weirdly afterwards the suspected perpetrator, 32-year-old Marquise Nance,
Returned it?
had phoned her to tell her about the crime. Specifically, he said that he had left the vehicle at a Winn-Dixie supermarket at the local Marion Oaks shopping center. When officers responded to the scene, they found the woman's stolen car along with Nance. Apparently, he was in a less honest mood at this point because when questioned about the situation...
Wait. He stole a car from somebody, then called them and said, hey, your car got stolen. Did I misunderstand that at all, chat?
claimed that he hadn't stolen anything. Luckily, police were able to recover surveillance video from the area that showed
Yeah,
him driving
exactly.
and
Like,
exiting
point
the
at
vehicle.
this man.
Nance was arrested and is now facing multiple charges, including grand theft of a motor vehicle.
That's just dumb. That
In a
guy's
recent
just dumb.
video posted by the Marion County Sheriff's Office, one of their officers, Lieutenant Paul Bloom,
Oh,
joked that it was
that's probably
kind
too
of Nance
grievous.
that he told the victim he'd stolen her car.
Yeah, I guess he was bragging too much. Oh my god, a non-Florida moment.
Authorities in Lyon County, Iowa say that a man was recently busted in
Iowa, that
connection
makes
with a
sense.
bizarre DUI case.
It's
One
either
in which he
Florida, Iowa, or Ohio,
apparently
chat.
attempted to use a fake
That's where all
ID
crime is.
containing a rather ridiculous oversight. The whole thing began sometime on May 12th when an officer in the city of Rock Rapids spotted a 2016 Ford Fusion that was driving erratically. The vehicle was all over the road and posed a danger to other motorists, so eventually police pulled the car over. When an officer approached the vehicle, they came face to face with the driver, later identified as 33-year-old Joe Vaida. Vaida was wearing sunglasses even though it was cloudy and rainy outside, and his breath reportedly smelled of alcohol. It wasn't hard to pinpoint why. There was an open can of beer in the center console of the vehicle and more alcohol in the back seat.
Really? You're just gonna do that?
The 33-year-old
What's a
failed a
blue cow, are you?
breathalyzer test and was also found to be in possession of methamphetamine. At this point, Vaida was well and truly busted, but in an apparent last-ditch effort not to be identified, he handed the officer who pulled him over a fake Minnesota state ID card. Unfortunately, the card was about as convincing as Vaida's driving. What gave it away, you ask? Well, for starters, it listed him as being 8 feet tall.
People are so dumb. No, I'm 8 feet tall. I swear. I just recently, got a height reduction. Yeah, a height reduction. Oh my God. Yeah, you've heard of compensating, chat. This is next
Vaida
level.
is apparently 5 foot 8 inches.
Wow.
The 33-year-old was arrested
What
and is
a
now
dummy.
facing several charges, including narcotics possession, operating a vehicle while
Oh, he
intoxicated,
got absolutely
and
cooked.
providing cops with a false ID.
Absolutely
At the time
cooked.
of his arrest, he was also apparently wanted in another Iowa county for failure to appear in court on an earlier
Of course.
DUI charge. It's unclear
Do you think that they called him at the other place? They were like, oh, we're looking for the 8 foot tall guy.
if he pretended to be 8 feet tall in that case as well.
Yeah, censored. I've seen that too. Florida woman steals car during test drive.
Representatives
about
from
right.
the Florida Highway Patrol released wild footage.
Of course,
a
it's in Miami. Guys, Miami is the craziest place in Florida. That and Orlando, I swear to you.
car chase last week after a 27-year-old woman allegedly stole a vehicle during a test drive and then tried to flee from authorities. According to reports, the whole thing began sometime
big
on
brain.
May 9th.
That's a big brain. I'll tell you what, I'm going to test drive this car, which, by the way, they can turn off remotely half the time. And I have somebody in the car and then just steal it. What the
When 27-year-old Melina Logan showed up at the Honda dealership located on South Miami's South Dixie Highway. After asking to test drive a new
It depends,
2024
censored. Sometimes
Honda
they keep
Civic,
your license.
Logan was allowed to briefly go out in the vehicle. However, things took a serious turn when she got back. As soon as the salesperson who was accompanying her stepped out of the car,
She
drove
booked it.
off. The stolen vehicle
Wow,
was
that's
reported to
crazy.
Miami-Dade police, who in turn notified additional members of law enforcement. Before long, Logan was
But why,
spotted
out of all the things you could do, stealing a car, why are you going to steal one from like a dealership directly? That makes no
again,
sense.
this time by a Florida Highway Patrol trooper as she was near the intersection of State Road 826 and Northwest 74th Street. The trooper attempted to conduct a traffic stop, but Logan refused to pull over.
She booked it.
Instead, continuing to pick up speed on the busy
She
highway.
booked it.
She proceeded to weave dangerously in and out of traffic at speeds
Oh, yeah,
of up
she
to
super
90
booked
miles
it.
per hour, eventually pulling onto the paved shoulder of the road.
They
when
should have
traffic
stole a
became
Ford.
too
No,
heavy.
Timsy. They can steal a Ford because they actually wanted the car to work. Yeah, see, that's the difference.
As Logan raced down the narrow shoulder, she allegedly struck
Call her
several
Sonic the
victims
Hedgehog.
before finally
Going fast.
immobilizing the vehicle on a concrete barrier.
Oh,
Even at this
no.
point, though, she refused to give up, jumping off the exit ramp she was on into a canal below. In
What
dash
the
cam
fuck?
footage recorded by the pursuing trooper, several officers can be seen trying to rescue Logan from the water.
Oh my
The
gosh.
27-year-old reportedly refused to grab safety ropes that were thrown to her, forcing police to ultimately go into the canal and pull her out. Logan was arrested at the scene and is now
Wow.
facing several charges, including grand theft, aggravated fleeing and eluding,
Oh, yeah,
resisting
you're
an officer
actually
without
screwed for
violence,
that.
and leaving the scene of a crash involving an injury.
I was going to say the other thing too is like, you're going to owe all that money on the car that you crashed, which is even yours. I mean, your life is over at that point. Wow, what an insane chase. Yeah, she was like, I got to do GTA 6 before GTA 6 actually comes out. Yeah, she's done. Yeah, Florida man, let's go.
The 33-year-old Florida man may not win any awards for his comedic originality. However, he did manage to land himself on the receiving end of some pretty hilarious instant karma.
Yeah,
this
so
week,
many police were
when
involved
he
in that
jokingly
one.
told officers that his name was Mr. Monopoly during the middle of an investigation, and he ended up going straight to jail.
Mr.
The whole thing
Moneybags, is
started
that you?
sometime on the evening of June 1st, when police in the city of St. Petersburg received
I
a
love
call
it.
about some possible vandalism in progress. Callers said that they had seen a man spray painting a building at the intersection of 54th Avenue and 41st Street South. After responding
Guy
to
landed
the
on the
scene,
jail space.
officers managed to find a man in the area matching
That's
the
not even that
description
bad. You
that
spray
witnesses
painted
had
a wall.
provided.
Okay.
He reportedly had a bag slung over his shoulder, inside of which
You look
there
so
were a
smug.
number of cans of spray paint in plain sight. Police asked
All
the
right.
man to identify himself. However, he refused to answer. That was until he was placed under arrest. After being put in the back of a patrol car,
He
the
said he's
suspect
Mr.
said that his
Moneybags.
name was Mr. Monopoly and claimed his date of birth was 4/20/69. What a brilliant comedic...
Yes! Florida man said birthday is 4/20/69. What a legend! What a legend! What a legend! This is the real Florida man right here, chat. This guy knows what it means to be a Floridian right here. What a champion.
mind, am I right? Anyway, the joke was on him because almost immediately after this, police found his driver's license. It identified him as 33-year-old Ryan Howard. Not only was Howard taken
he wasn't Mr. Moneybags.
straight to jail without passing go or collecting $200, he's now facing charges of criminal mischief and resisting.
Yeah, I think he just got arrested just for the memes,
for
you know.
Mr. Monopoly, he also won't be able to secure his release by rolling doubles or paying $50 in Parker Brothers money. His bond was set at 1,000 real American dollars.
No, not Monopoly dollars. Ah, shit. New Mexico man tries to burn down ex's house and sets fire himself to
Representatives
himself.
from New Mexico's Albuquerque Police
Did I
Department
read that right?
say that a 46
Oh my god, Albuquerque, New Mexico! Breaking Bad mention!
wannabe arsonist recently got hit with quite the amusing bit of instant karma when he allegedly tried to burn down his ex-girlfriend's house, only to end up setting himself on fire instead. The bizarre and terrifying incident took place shortly before midnight on May 24th,
I hate it here.
when Albuquerque police
You had
were
one
called
job,
about
you
a
had one
potential
job.
arson case. They were alerted by a female victim who
You had
stated
one
that
job,
her
dude.
boyfriend,
One job.
46-year-old Artemio Sanchez Ortega, had just come to her home and tried to set the place on fire. When police and firefighters arrived at the scene, they were quickly able to extinguish the blaze. Though it had done damage to vehicles in the woman's gated front yard, thankfully the fire hadn't reached her house, especially because she and her children had been inside at the time.
It tracks. Okay,
While the
thank
woman
you,
was able
Sin.
to show officers several phone calls from earlier that night made by the suspect,
This is wild.
who she said had clearly been drinking, even more conclusive evidence soon emerged.
You set
It was
yourself
video
on
footage
fire.
shot
I
by
can't
her
believe that.
neighbor's surveillance camera across the street that captured the bumbling crime as it unfolded. In the footage, a man, alleged to be Ortega, can be seen walking down the street nonchalantly with a red gas can. However, the man's calm demeanor quickly gives way to panic after he hops over the front gate of the victim's home and isn't careful with where he's splashing the accelerant.
Just like,
As soon
that's
as he
it?
attempts
You
to
just got a
light it,
thing of gasoline to set the house on
the entire
fire?
front yard goes
That's
up in
it?
flames, along with the man's
I feel like you
own
need more
clothing.
than that, right, chat?
As the camera footage refocuses from the sudden blast, the suspect can be seen clinging to the
Flame
fence
on.
once again. After tripping over his own feet, he runs down the street away from the scene while still on fire.
His Halloween costume is a Human
top-tier
Torch.
comedy, folks. Unfortunately, at the time of this recording, police still haven't been able to find Ortega.
Oh,
he is now
he got
wanted
away.
on arson charges and is believed to be driving a
Well, I mean,
white
he
Chevy
blew himself
Silverado
up, so,
with
I mean,
Texas license
did he
plate
really get away?
1CO2721. Anyone with information is asked to reach out to the Albuquerque police.
That is wild. I had one woman calls 911 to get out of an online date.
Authorities
I mean, if it was unsafe, I can understand maybe like calling 911. I'm kind of wondering the
in
specifics.
Johnson
Let's
County,
listen.
Iowa, say that a local woman is facing
up,
2
Griever? How are you?
misdemeanor charges this week after she allegedly called 911 and made a false report about a stalking and domestic violence situation
Oh, okay, all
because
right.
she wanted to back
That's a
out
little
of an
different.
online date. The whole thing apparently started just after midnight on June 16th when police received a 911 call from 18-year-old Sumaya Thomas. Thomas reportedly
Maybe
told
she
an
feared for her
operator that
safety.
her abusive ex-boyfriend had shown up outside her house.
I'm doing good,
and that
Alex.
he
How
was
are you?
sending her threats over Snapchat that he was going to hit, punch, kick, and stab her. She said that she had known this man for years and that she was pregnant with his baby. When officers arrived at Thomas's residence, which is located in a suburb of Iowa City, they spotted a man leaving the scene. Since he seemed to match the description in the report they had received,
Oh, but was it
police
false?
detained the man and began to question him about what he was doing.
Forgot
It
a
wasn't
gun.
long before things took quite a bizarre turn. The man explained that not only was he not some abusive and threatening ex-boyfriend, he had only met Thomas about a week ago. They had encountered each other on a dating app and had made plans to meet up that night. Sure enough, the man was able to provide messages documenting and backing up his story. When police turned their attention back to Thomas,
She just lied about that? You're gonna ruin that guy's life.
she
You
eventually
can't do stuff
admitted
like
that she had
that.
lied about everything. She claimed that she was supposed to go on a date with the man who officers had spoken to.
You
but at
can't
the
lie
last
about
minute,
stuff
she
like
got
that.
cold feet and decided she
Wow,
didn't
you
want
can't
to.
do that.
Instead of just telling the guy this herself, Thomas apparently
Absolutely
called
horrible.
911. She even reportedly went as far as to say that she, quote, didn't think officers would help, so she made up this call and the events that she described, telling police it was, quote, because she didn't want the mail here and felt we wouldn't be able to do anything if she just called normally. Thomas was arrested for placing a false 911 call and making a fake report of an indictable offense, both of which are misdemeanors.
That's so scary. People just lying just to ruin people's lives like that.
We'd like to take a second to give a huge shout out to everyone.
Man, that is crazy. I like these videos, chat. I think these are really good. This one was actually like really, really good, chat.